Hey everybody, it's Brock, and we got a brand new episode of All About. Hope everybody's having a good start of their week. Today, we are learning about a very cool invert. These things get huge too. This is all about the Gigantea carpet anemone, or as other people call them, just the giant anemones. This is also a great video if you're looking into getting one of the Haddon anemones. That's just a special type, one of the very rare, very colorful ones, or maybe it's Haddon. Y'all let me know down in the comments which way it goes. So jumping into it, prices on them, you'll usually spend about $60 to get a nice juvenile, medium-sized, giant carpet anemone. And then if you want to get one that's really big, that's already gotten like a foot long, or if you're looking for one of the more special ones like the Haddons, or one that has some crazier colors, you can spend upwards of $200 to get one. So it kind of varies, but the care level on them, super easy. Carpet anemones aren't that hard to take care of. Most of the time, they're taking care of themselves. Temperature, you want to keep it 72 to 78. You know my reefs, I like to keep them right on 78, but it can be a good range on there, and they'll be just fine. DKH 8 to 12, pH 8.1 to 8.4, and your salinity 1.023 to 1.025. Colors on them, the most common ones you're going to see with that lower price range is usually the greens, the blues, and the browns. You're going to see those all the time, most of the time when you're in the shops looking around or looking around online. Usually those colors are in stock. Now, if you're looking for something very special, like maybe a red or a purple, those can be very rare and very expensive. You don't see those very often, but man, they are beautiful. Diet, so they are a carnivore. So as they are an invert, they're not living off the light, they're not photosynthetic, they actually do need food to stay alive. So one of my favorite things to do is just get some plain raw shrimp from the grocery store, thaw out a piece and cut it up. You don't want anything huge, you don't want to slap like a huge jumbo shrimp on his mouth, because what he's going to end up doing is trying to eat it. He'll eat a little piece of it and then he'll end up spitting the rest out, and it'll be floating around the tank causing spikes in your nitrates ammonia. Usually if you give him a piece that's as big as his mouth, that'll be plenty of food for him to eat. Now, depending on how often they eat and how big they are, you kind of have to just play with it. A lot of times we'll feed ours a couple times during the week. That seems to be enough for them. If you're feeding yours and you think that you're not feeding them enough, feed him more, and you'll realize when you fed him too much, because he will not eat that piece of food. He will just let it hang on the end of his tentacles, or he'll just let it go and float around the tank. At that point, you'll know, okay, he doesn't need food anymore this week. Other things you can feed him are different things like liquid food. Oyster Feast is a very fatty food that you can squirt in the power heads. Those tentacles can grab that, even though it's very small, very liquidy, that just disperses out. They'll eat that. Another one are those eggs that you can get. Roe eggs are a really good one they like. And you can even, whenever you're feeding like reefroids and stuff, you'll see him shrink up at the same time that all your other corals shrink up, because he's going to be eating it too. So you got a wide variety of things, but really make sure you're having something very meaty in his diet. That'll keep him very healthy, keep the colors looking good, and it also helps him grow. Origin, they come from the Indo-Pacific area. Now, how these guys are is usually in the tides, so they're very close to the sunlight, they're very high up. So you want to make sure you got plenty of current on them, plenty of light on them. Venomous, so yes, they do have a very powerful sting to them. It can really hurt a fish, it can hurt another invert, and it can hurt you too. So you want to be very careful with these. Their tentacles are actually very sticky, so if anything touches it, it grabs onto it very well, and it's very hard to let go of them. So whenever you are placing them in the tank, it's best to try to keep them shrunk up as much as they can be, and try to move them around with the bag. If you put your hand directly on him, he's not going to be able to sting your hand because your pores are so tight there, but I'm telling you, he will grab onto you like Velcro, and it is tough to get him off. You definitely want to be careful when you're deep down in the tank, because if he stings you on somewhere like the forearm, you'll definitely feel it. They also have been known to eat fish and inverts in the tank. You have a cleaner shrimp run on top of them, even little gobies. I've even seen videos of clownfish that were hosted by them and then eventually got eaten. So you want to be very careful and very cautious about your fish that you put with these guys, because as they do get older and get bigger, they definitely start looking for that bigger meal. Placement, I always try to recommend the sand bed. That seems like where they love it the most. It also helps them not move around so much. At the shop, what we'll do is we'll get a PVC pipe and we'll cut it so that we can put basically the trunk of him in the PVC pipe. He'll grab onto that, and then we can just shove the PVC in the sand, and he'll stay there pretty much his entire life. Now, you're going to see some where they try to place him on a rock, and I'm telling you, he'll start to move, and he'll be around your tank in the wrong spot that you wanted. And carpet anemones, once they wedge themselves in a rock, it can be very hard to get them out. So I usually try to recommend the sand bed. Plus, they need that low part of the tank. You start putting them up real high, he's usually not liking it or causing more issues to your surrounding corals. Current, they like a very strong current blowing on them. Like I said, they're usually in the tides, so they're constantly getting hit with waves. So if you got a good strong current in your tank, they'll really like it. Now, of course, there's always going to be that one in the basket that doesn't like anything on your basic facts, so you just kind of want to base it off of how he's doing. If an anemone has too much light or not enough light, or has too much current or not enough current, they usually do about the same thing. They will shrink up, or you'll see them start to move around to the tank, trying to find that perfect spot for himself. Lighting, of course, is also high. Make sure you got plenty of light hitting him. Him being in a tidal kind of anemone, he's right below the surface of the water, so he's getting hit by the sun big time. So they want that same kind of feel in the tank. Tank size, it doesn't matter, but you definitely want to have plenty of room for them. You don't want to put them in a little 30-gallon because these guys can get over 2 feet long. Fragging, so of course it is an anemone, and the way those propagate is they will eventually split. They'll grow 2 heads, and then they'll split off, and then you'll have one mouth over here and one mouth over there that'll grow up and be able to, continue the process. Some do use a procedure of cutting them in half and letting the 2 sides heal on their own. To me, that's just too risky and causes too much stress to the coral. Carpets rarely split anyways in perfect conditions in the tank, so you're just doing a big risk. And for me, it's just like let the one anemone grow and be happy and let them just enjoy that life as being this huge anemone in your tank. It's a lot cooler to see. But if you do want to go that route, you can watch some videos. We've seen people successfully do it before. Other than that, that pretty much gives you a good start to try to see if you can take care of one of these giant anemones in your tank. If you have any additional questions, please leave them down below. Or if you've had experience yourself, leave them down below. That helps us all learn more and more about these creatures. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.